We're just going to go over a little bit of CPR today, and we're going to talk about some of the things that we want to do in an emergency. So first and foremost, a little bit about myself real quick. My name is Brian Riggs. I'm a firefighter paramedic here for the town of Fairhaven. I've been here a firefighter paramedic about 20 years. I'm also a registered nurse. I did that for about 10 years on a critical care floor. I was also in the Army. I was a combat medic initially. Then I blew stuff up for a while, which was kind of fun. And then I worked for a combat support hospital, did an 18-month tour in Iraq on top of it. So what we're going to go over today is hands-free CPR. We're not going to get into the healthcare portion, which is the breathing and the respirations and all that. We're just going to go over hands-only CPR, and we're just going to talk a little bit about why it's effective. So first off, why do people have heart attacks? Well, we look at our diets. We eat too much, we don't exercise, we smoke, it can be hereditary, we can have family history of this, and all this stuff contributes to us having cardiovascular disease. And eventually, that kind of catches up over time. So we have these nice, beautiful hearts, and everybody knows what a heart sounds like. What's a heart sound like? Right? Lub-dub, right? Everybody knows what a heart. So the heart, it's about a fish-sized shaped muscle, sits up in our chest, and it's got 4 little chambers. So the top part beats lub, and the bottom part beats dub. And it fills and it pumps blood out and it does all that good stuff that it does. Well, eventually that cardiovascular disease, we build up with the plaques. And over time, it builds up, the blood doesn't get through, we get chest pain, we get angina, right? And that continues to happen over time. And eventually, if you block the blood flow to the heart, you have a heart attack. Inside that heart, that nice clean muscle, there's a little electrical pathway. It's almost like a light switch in your house. You turn on a light switch, right? The light turns on. So there's a little electrical conduit inside your heart. So now we have these plaques, we have cardiovascular disease, we have a heart attack, and then what happens? This electrical system gets disrupted. So everybody knows what a bowl of Jell-O looks like, right? We shake Jell-O, what's it do? It's doing this. There's no rhyme, there's no reason. The heart does the same exact thing. It's what's called a fibrillation. It just quivers. So now there's no blood flow. If there's no blood flow, it's not moving up to your body, and your brain is the most important organ in your body, and it's really dependent on that blood flow. Any interruption in the blood flow to your heart, from your heart to your brain, your blood cells will die 4 to 6 minutes. So when somebody has a cardiac event and we start performing CPR, you're basically becoming the heart for that person. So you're stepping in and you're mechanically helping the heart to pump. So when we do CPR, we have a person, and when you compress, you're basically compressing the heart against the spine. So if you're with anybody, if they're ever on a soft surface, they're on a couch, they're laying on a bed, you kind of want to get them gently onto the floor, onto somewhere where it's hard, so you can kind of push that heart onto the spine. So it's estimated that there's about 350,000 people per year have a sudden cardiac arrest outside of the hospital. And survival rates, even with everything that we do, is about 9 to 10%. So we die, that's what happens. So it's time critical that we start CPR. Like I said, brain cells will die in 4 to 6 minutes. So if we can help to establish some of that blood flow, it keeps them alive. After about 10 minutes, your chances of success, of survival, are basically nil at that point. Now, we all hear about times when people be submerged underwater and they bring them back after 40 minutes or after an hour, or whatever the records. That's a whole different mechanism because of the ice cold water. But for a normal person, after about 10 minutes, you die. Your chances of coming back are very limited. And if we do bring you back, there may be some what we call agnoxic damages because of the low oxygen levels. People can come back and they can have brain damage. So we want to avoid all that sort of stuff. So CPR, hands only, it triples your chances of success. And that's what we're going to show you today. We're only showing you the American Heart, all the studies that they do. The people are more comfortable doing compression-only CPR. Remember ABCs, you guys used to, if you had CPRs, they talk more about what's called CAB, circulation, airway, breathing. But here we're just going to do just compression only. Your blood has oxygen. We don't burn it up all the time, right? We take a deep breath in. There's 21% oxygen in the room. We breathe in. When we breathe out, there's about 19% in exhaled oxygen. So that oxygen that gets placed into your bloodstream is still there. It doesn't burn it up just like that. So when you're doing the CPR, you're moving the existing blood around to extend that person's life. All right? So, we're going to have a person, and the person suffers some sort of event. Now, can you hurt the person? Right? Sometimes you might break a rib, okay? But you generally, if that person really needs this, you're not going to hurt the person. You're not going to hurt the person. So I like to think of the hands only, the 3 C's, right? We're going to check. We're going to see if the person is okay. Sometimes people are sleeping. We get calls for people in a car, oh, this guy's not breathing, and we get there, they're sleeping. So before I run there, I start beating on his chest and doing all that. Hey buddy, are you okay? Now, you want to make sure the scene is safe. If a person gets electrocuted, for instance, right, and stops, if the scene is dangerous for you, you should not be rendering care. You always want to make sure that the scene is safe for you. Most of the time, most CPR, that 350,000 people I talked about, 70% of the events happen in the home. So odds are more likely, this is a good chance you're going to do this on somebody you know, a family member, a friend. So hands-on, you're more apt to help. There's been instances where somebody goes down, people know CPR, and nobody really wants to step in. So by doing the hands only also, it's that less ick factor. They used to do the mouth-to-mouth and all that jazz, especially with all this talk of coronavirus and all that. People aren't comfortable doing mouth-to-mouth. So we're going down the hands only. So 3 C's, like I said. We want to check, we want to call, and we want to compress. The 3 C's. Generally, CPR does not save anybody. Has there been instances? Probably. But CPR, like I said, prolongs the chance of this person living. It doesn't usually fix it. Usually, what fixes it is the defibrillator. So remember I talking that bowl of Jell-O? When we put the defibrillator on and we deliver that shock, it's like hitting the reset button on your computer. So it stops the heart from doing all this jazz. Hopefully it restarts with the lub-dub, the nice normal pathway of the heart. So by doing the CPR, it keeps the pump primed, it keeps blood flowing, it keeps blood in the heart, so hopefully help can come and shock. So 3 C's. So check. We want to look, listen, we want to check. We want to see the person. We used to do the look, listen, feel, right? And the problem with that is people go, oh, I think I got a pulse. Hey, John, come, John. Yeah, do they got a pulse? I don't know. Hey, Mary, come over here. And it's delaying a lot of care, right? When people, if you know how to do a pulse, like people you've said you've had before, right? Okay, that's fine if that's what you're comfortable. So we look, listen, we look for signs of circulation. If they're moving purposely, if they're breathing purposely, okay, odds are they not need CPR, right? If you know how to check a pulse, great. That's fine, check a pulse, right? If they're not, then you can start your stuff. Now, if you do check a pulse, right, you use your 2 fingers. Why don't we use our thumbs? There's a pulse in our thumbs. So if I put this thumb on this table, yeah, this table's got a great pulse. So we don't use our thumbs. That's why they teach you when they use your fingers. So we want to check. Check for signs of circulation. See if they're moving. See if they're talking, if they're breathing, Organized breathing. Sometimes people can have what's called an agonal respirations, where they'll go, and they do this very slow, just once in a while. That is not a good sign of circulation, and you can still proceed with this. So, scene safe. Check the person. Okay. Second thing is call. And why do we want to call? You call for help. You call for the AED, because this is what we want to get to the person quick. To restart, that restart button on your computer, to reset the heart, to hopefully it picks up in a nice, normal rhythm. So adults, that's what we want to get. Children, are a whole different story. We're not going to talk about them. Things are different. If you take CPR, you might have heard, they usually do respirations for it. Usually children have beautiful, nice hearts. They stop breathing first, and because now there's no oxygen, the heart stops. So that's why it's different. So check, call, get help on the way, because you don't want to manage this. This is not what you get paid to do, right? It's nerve-wracking, it's scary. So get some help coming. So the third C, compress, and that is the compressions that we're going to talk about. You got that song, Tim? You find that song? You keep, I told you that. All right, he's going to look for it. So, like I said, when we compress, we're compressing the heart against the spine and pushing the blood out. When we start compressing, we want to try to minimize interruptions as much as possible. That's why you don't want to start and then I'm going to go find a phone or I'm going to go find the AED. There's a pressure in the heart. So as you compress, it increases this pressure in the heart, and that helps the blood flow. It helps the pressure in the heart to get that blood kind of moving and doing what it's doing. And every time you stop and you interrupt CPR, that pressure goes back down to nothing, and now you have to reprime the pump, so to speak. And now you have to do it, and it takes a little while again for it to climb up and up and up. So once that person starts, you want to keep going until a few things. So either till help arrives, and even for us in the EMS services, if I have a person and I get there and I take everything in and I'm looking, and if I got a person doing good CPR, I'm going to have that person continue CPR while I do everything else that I do, because that's an extra pair of hands. I don't have enough pair of hands sometimes. Sometimes it's just one of us sometimes until we can get more help arrive, especially initially. So if I got somebody doing a bystander, we're going to still utilize you. And that's great, because you know what to do. You're helping the person. So now we're going to start compressions. So when we compress for an adult, it's about 2 inches. The most, it's 2, they say 2 to 2.4 inches. If anybody really wants to take out a ruler and measure, it's close, it's close, 2 to 2.4 inches. We want to find the nipple line, the across the chest, the middle of the chest. We don't want to be too low on the chest, the very bottom of the chest. What's that? Yeah, come on up. The very bottom of the chest is a little part of your sternum called the xiphoid process. It's very thin. Okay, so we want to be on the middle of the chest. Hold on a second. Away from that, he's eager. So, like I said, you can break ribs. Hold on, save that. I like a little pizzazz in my presentations. Okay, so if you break a rib, and you'll feel it, it'll go crunch. It'll feel like crunch, crunch, crunch. It happens. Maybe lighten up just a little bit. People might be a little too eager. It happens. Just lighten up a little bit. The person is in trouble. The person is going to expire. This way we're at least giving them a chance, a fighting chance. So when we do it, we want to lock our fingers, interlace our fingers together. All right? It's tiring. I do not care how fit you think you are. Over time, it gets extremely tiring. It's very stressful. It's very tiring. So once you start, if you have additional people with you, it's okay to switch out, and they recommend that about every 2 minutes or so. If there's somebody here to switch off, switch. Let's say you're out, I go to Maine all the time. I love the woods, right? And I start doing CPR on somebody dropping. There's no help. And you keep going until you're too exhausted. That's okay too. At least you did something. So if you need to physically stop for whatever reason, then you stop. But if you have help, every 2 minutes or so you want to switch off. You don't want to bend from the elbows. It's not pressing like this. You want to use your body weight for this. So my LT here is going to be like a piston. So now we're going to start. Okay? You want to push hard. You want to push fast. It's about 100 to 120 compressions per minute. And it's like a rocking motion. You're a piston. Look at him, he's a machine. Look at him. So we're going to play a song, play that song. And the rate you want to use is staying alive.
I'm going to get my break now.
Dun, 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 dun. Staying, and it's that beat, staying alive. Okay? Are you tired?
I'm getting
okay, right. And I'm telling you, it's a great aerobic workout. No. Okay? So, all right, let's stop. So, in the meantime, hopefully, somebody has called, right? Hopefully, help is on the way. When we get there, if nobody has done CPR, and like I said, after about 10 minutes, your chances of coming back are very limited. If somebody's been doing this before I get there, I can come right away with my pads for my defibrillator, and I can try to deliver, if possible, a defibrillation and to bring back a normal rhythm. If a person, this hasn't been done, and it happens all the time, we get there, I have to wait, and I have to get there, and I have to do CPR. I have to prime that pump. I have to put the blood back in the heart. Those pressures, I got to get those pressures back up. Because if I shock a heart, and what they find is, if the heart doesn't have the oxygen, it's a piece of meat at that point. It's nothing. It's not going to shock it. So we want to get the oxygen, get that heart ready to be defibrillated to go back into a normal rhythm. Anybody have any questions so far as we're going? Okay, we're all good. All right, so let's do Tim. Either way, Tim or whatever, both Tims. Let's both Tims. Let's both Tims come up. We can both Tims. So the first rescuer here has been doing CPR, right? So you've been going away, going to town, rendering care. So now, both Tims, Tim to the second power, arrive with an AED. So these are the AEDs that are in the tower hall right now. So Tim in the light blue shirt is going to say to the first rescuer, hey, let's switch.
Sure.
Okay? And he's going to get right back into it. Minimize interruptions as much as possible. So we now have a defibrillator, and your defibrillator has a few things. Just pause for a second. I'm going to talk for a second. Right? So there's some things. There should be a razor. If a person has a sweater, and they're not wearing a sweater, if you know what I'm saying. They have chest hair, and you put that pad on, and it physically cannot touch the chest because there's hair in the way. So you have to take out a sweater. I'm just saying a guy, it could be anybody, whatever. You could have a hairy chest, and that's what a razor's for. So it's not, you don't have to get shaving cream, you don't have to put a warm towel on them. Just grab the razor.
No moisturizing?
What's that? No moisture. You can do that after the fact, the warm towel, like Supercuts, right? Shave the areas that you're going to put the pads on. Just shave it. There's hair. It's gross. I know. People shed. People have hair. We call them people crumbs in the business. It does. We have to do whatever. That's our job. So, a quick shave.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
And add do we have gloves like this and add defibrillator?
Yeah, this is your kit.
Oh, okay.
This is your kit. But as I'm saying, at least with hands-on, there's less ick factor.
Yeah.
There's less ick factor, okay? So, let's do this is your AED. So, this one, right?
Right.
It says pull.
Oops, I broke it.
That's okay.
Begin by removing all clothing from the patient's
Yeah,
head.
so
Look carefully at the pictures on the white adhesive pads.
So
Peel
CPR
one
still
pad
going on.
From the yellow plastic liner.
The pads will tell you where they need to go. It's an electrical
Pad
circuit.
exactly
It needs to
shown
go
in the picture.
exactly
Press
how it
firmly to patient's
how it goes.
pads firmly
So
to
we're going to put this
patient's
on.
bare skin.
So stop.
Make sure that the yellow plastic liner is completely removed from both pads. No one should touch the patient. Analyzing.
The machine is looking for a shockable rhythm. Not everything needs a shock.
No one should touch the patient. Analyzing.
If you shake the patient, it can't analyze.
Press the flashing orange button.
So now before you, that's okay. You want to make sure that everybody is clear.
Medical services have been called.
Okay.
It is safe to touch the patient.
It's
Begin
electricity.
CPR.
If somebody is
For help with
leaning
CPR,
against the person
flashing blue button.
and you deliver that shock goes into the person and then goes into the person standing next to them. And now guess what? I have 2 patients. Okay? I want less patients. So do not do that. So after that shock is delivered, get right back on CPR.
1 minute, 45 seconds until analysis.
That's the countdown. Every 2 minutes, we do what's called a pulse check. We want to check. So the machine's doing the same thing. So this one says if you need help with CPR, on yours, it's got a little blue button.
1 minute, 30 seconds until analysis will resume. It is safe to touch the patient.
So we continue with CPR.
1 minute, 15 seconds.
It's a long
until
time.
analysis
It's just a minute. It feels forever when you're doing this sometimes.
Did that machine say that it called emergency?
It says to make sure you called. That would be great if it did, right? Just boom, put it on.
Until analysis will
What are you doing? Keep going. Keep going. Young guys, let's go. That's why you need young guys. As I was a young guy at one time.
45 seconds until analysis will resume.
Yeah.
Here's the Lucas.
Right.
They actually have a machine on the ambulance that will do this.
It's amazing. It doesn't stop. It just goes. It doesn't get tired.
30 seconds until analysis will resume.
So that's why after every 2 minutes, switch. Don't be the tough person. Keep going.
You got this, buddy.
15 seconds until analysis will resume.
15 seconds.
No one should touch the patient. Analyzing.
I'm going to have you jump in.
No one should touch the patient. Shock not advised.
Okay.
It is safe to touch the patient.
So for whatever reason,
Begin CPR. For help with
Okay.
CPR, press the flashing blue button.
so you don't know if he got a heart rhythm back. We don't know if it's a non-shockable rhythm. For whatever reason, you have to just listen to the machine. Once a higher level of care
1 minute,
gets there,
45 seconds
we'll do
until
what we do.
analysis will resume.
Okay. So lock your elbows a little more. There you go. That table's a little high. And again, like I said, remove them, get them a lower.
1 minute, 30 seconds until analysis will resume.
Play the song, Tim. Play the song.
One minute, 15 seconds until analysis will resume.
Well, it's again, we just have to use the paper because of the shock thing.
1 minute until analysis will resume.
Yeah. No, pose, Tim. Oh, Eye of the Tiger probably would work too.
45
Yeah.
seconds
Eye of the
until
Tiger.
analysis will resume.
Okay. Did I say it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you're here. If I have a heart attack,
All right, let's not. Let's.
30 seconds until
Right.
analysis
2 minutes is forever. And we're gonna, after this, we'll let it, and then we'll stop.
15 seconds until analysis will resume. No one should touch the
Right.
patient.
We stop.
Analyzing.
Machine's going through all its
No
checks.
one should touch the patient. Shock not advised.
Okay.
It is safe
And again,
to touch
it doesn't
the
mean it's
patient.
good. It doesn't
If
mean it's
needed,
bad.
begin CPR.
Just
For help with CPR, press.
Okay. Right. That's just 4 minutes. Well, West Island, like for us, that's a 10-minute ride out to West Island. That's a 10-minute ride for us. We're going to get there. We're going to do what we do. But if somebody's having CPR performed, like I said, and I get all my facts from American Heart, your chances of survival goes up by a factor of 3 with just hands-only CPR.